Welcome to our final lesson of this unit. Our goal for our final lesson today is to learn to solve whole number division equations, the last of the 4 operations that we were looking at. So make sure you put down today's date, page number, and goal in your notebook. Come back when you are ready. And here is your warm-up for today. 4 problems, pretty simple, stuff that we've done over the last couple lessons. So if you could please go ahead and complete these and come back when you're ready. All right, so we're just looking at different operations that we've been working with over the last few lessons. So the first one, you see 5x, you know it's 5 times x. So what we have to do here is the undo operation, or the inverse operation of multiplication, which is division. So the number next to the variable is 5, so we got to do that to both sides, which I already started. And how many times does 5 go into 20? 4 times. For number 2, you have 7 times n. So 7 is next to the variable n, and it's multiplication, so the opposite of multiplication is division, and 7 goes into 84 12 times. For 3, we had y minus 4. The opposite of minus is plus, or addition. So to undo the minus, you add 4 to both sides, and you get 22. And finally, the last one is 21 equals n plus 3. To get rid of the plus 3, you subtract 3. Do that to both sides, and you get 18. Okay, now how can we check our work to see if it is correct? If you write down underneath your APK how you can check every single one of those to see if they are correct, and you have the right answer, I'll give you a 50. So like every other one we've done so far, I'm going to give a little scenario here that we're going to look at, where we're going to have to probably use some sort of division equation. So here it says recreational scuba divers go as deep as 130 feet underwater to view fish and coral. I've never done this because, quite frankly, it scares me to be underwater that far. Breathing out of an apparatus I'm worried will break. But one day I hope I can build up enough confidence to do it. Anyways, at this depth, the pressure on a diver is much greater than the water's surface. So you can kind of feel heavier, and you also can feel it in your ears. It kind of feels like pressure is being pushed down on you. So water pressure is usually described using equations containing division. So remember that multiplication and division are inverse operations. So let's make sure we write this down as our last reminder about inverse operations. Multiplication and division are inverse operations of each other. If an equation contains division, the way we undo both sides is you multiply. So the opposite of division is multiplication. So let's practice that information on a few problems here I want you to do in your notebook. So here's one. We're going to start with this one. We see x over 7. Now you're looking at that thinking, well, that's a fraction problem. Well, sort of. Remember, this fraction bar, this vinculum bar, is also a division bar. So the first step is always to rewrite the problem. X divided by 7 equals 5. Find the number next to the variable, which is x, and that is 7, the number next to the variable. So we have 7 here. So how do we get rid of a division by 7? We multiply by 7. And what you do to one side, you got to do to both. So the second step is to multiply both sides by 7. Now, when you do 7 and 7 on the one side, it cancels each other out. And on the right-hand side in this example, then you just have 7 times 5. 7 times 5 is 35. Bring that down on the third step, and just bring x on the other side. X equals 35. That's how we get our answer. So remember, we can check our work simply by just putting 35 back into x on the original equation we were looking at. How many times does 7 go into 35? It goes in 5 times. So when we check, we find out that we are balanced. Both sides equal 5, so 5 is the correct answer. Write this down in your notes before continuing on. Let's do another one. Get some extra practice here. Again, I want you to write this down in your notes. So our original problem here that we're looking at is 13 equals p divided by 6. So what is p divided by in this scenario? Well, what's the number next to it? That'd be a 6. So we'll change that to a 6. So the first step is to rewrite the problem. The second step is to find out what we're going to multiply both sides by, because by multiplying we are undoing the division. So the number we just identified as being divided by is the number we have to do again, which is 6. So you're going to multiply both sides by 6. Now the side with the variable, that cancels out, so the 6's are gone. You just bring the p down. And on the other side, we have to do 6 times 13. Let's do that one off to the side. 6 times 3 is 18, carry the 1. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So p equals 78. And again, how can we check to see if our work is correct? Put 78 in for p. 6 goes into 78 13 times, which means this answer is correct because it's balanced. Please make sure you put this example down in your notebook so you have a second example. All right, here's a real application where we're doing a word problem. If you want to, try pausing the video again and seeing if you can do this on your own. The problem states, at Elk Meadows Park, an aspen tree is 1/3 the height of a pine tree. So the height of the aspen tree equals the height of the pine tree divided by 3. If the aspen tree is 14 feet tall, find out how much the pine tree is worth. Again, try pausing if you'd like to, and then move on. See if you can get the same answer I did. Okay, so for this problem, we're going to have to, instead of using these long words here, let's create an equation that's a little shorter. So why don't we make h be the height of a pine tree? We know how tall the aspen tree is, so 14 is the aspen tree, which equals h divided by 3. We want to find the height of the pine tree. So remember, the first step is that we are going to try to identify what number is being divided by h, and that's 3. So that helps us to identify what number we have to undo. And the way to undo division is, again, what? Correct, multiplication. So let's change that to be multiplied by 3 to both sides. Again, remember, 3 divided by 3, well, let's get rid of this thing. 3 divided by 3 is now gone, or 3 times 3 is now gone. You're just left with h, which, remember, is the height of a pine tree. And on the other side, we have 3 times 14. 3 times 4 is 12. Or, I'm sorry. Excuse me. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, 12. And the thing popping up messed me up. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. So the answer is 42. H equals 42. But we know that we're talking about the pine tree. So the pine tree is 42 feet tall, would be the correct final answer to make sure we have it in full sentence form. If you got it right on your own, great. Give yourself a pat on the back and make sure you have all this written down before we move on. All right, we made it to the box of thought. Go ahead and answer these 3 questions on your own, and then when you're ready, move on to the quiz. So again, tell me whether the c in c divided by 10 equals 70, is that going to be a larger number than 70 or a smaller number than 70? We've had a problem like this for the last 3 in our box of thought. Explain your answer. Now, it says, describe how you would check your answer to example 2. That's the one we just did about the pine tree. How could you check your work for that problem? And then finally, explain why 13 times x divided by 13 equals x. Tell me why. That's a little of a challenge. I think you can get it, though. Come back when you're done. All right, here's your quiz. 5 problems, and they all have to do with division equations. What's the opposite of division? That's your hint for what you have to do to every single number next to the variable. Good luck, and remember, this was our last lesson of this unit. So once we're finished, you're going to be probably doing a review, quiz, and test coming up. So make sure you have good notes from here back. Double check your notes, and good luck finishing up the rest of this unit. We'll see you in the next unit.